Good morning. Welcome to another Pebble in the Pond video. This is another of my testimonies of God, and it's about never underestimating a mother's love or tactics. As you know, my mother and father got married and divorced twice because they didn't believe in divorce. Anyway, the final divorce was done, and I was about I can't remember. 66, I was 10 years old, right? Or 62. I don't know, maybe 7 years old. 6, 7, we moved to Missouri. Well, my mother would take my sister Jill and I to church often. She was a church goer. She went every time the doors were open. She loved church. She loved the hymns. She loved prayer and testimony service, which the church has basically done away with nowadays. They had prayer and testimony on Wednesdays, and then they had functions, of course, on Sunday morning, Sunday evening, and various things in between. So I would go. I was only 6, so I couldn't really rebel, but I really wasn't a part of it and fall asleep and this and that. Well, they opened a McDonald's with the golden arches back in the day in 60, whatever. It was the very first one they had in that area in Independence. And so my mother, out of the strong urge to get me to participate, like to say a prayer testimony, would offer me a French fry at the Golden Arches at McDonald's. Well, I would get up and pray whatever I could pray at that age. It really wasn't anything significant, but I remember the whole scenario, and that turned into other things, and ice cream and this and that, and through the years, those formative years. But I just thank God that she did that. I thank God that she dragged me to church. I thank God that even though I rebelled, that the memories were still there, and that there was some type of a safe haven there, and there was some type of drawing that would take my mother there every time the doors were open. Even though I didn't have that drawing at the time, I wasn't converted to God till I was 33. But there was many times that she would bribe me, if you will, to get me involved in church functions and things. And I'm just glad she did. And I'm sure she prayed for me every night. And I'm sure, I didn't honor my mother and father. So if I die early, I have no problem for that, because the scripture clearly speaks to that, and not honoring your mother and father. And she knows I loved her. And I was there when she died, and I was there. I buried her in her front yard under a beautiful rose bush I planted on top of it. We had her cremated, of course, but she told me that everybody she'd ever loved had been in that house, and we'd been there since '62, and this was in '90, I believe '97, the end of '96 or '97 when she passed. And so what she did for me is instill in me a lot of things. Not only did she help pursue the singing, and she tried her best to help do what she could. She got me in Little League, and she got me in the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts and all those things. And she could, she couldn't go to the father-son thing, but she tried, and she worked, and we survived on welfare, $230 a month plus free cheese and free things, and $80 a month was the rent for the house. Actually, the house payment. Those people blessed her and financed her, and she ended up owning her own home eventually. So a mother's prayers and a mother's ways are very valuable and precious. Unfortunately, we don't have many mothers even offering French fries or an ice cream cone if they'll get up and say a prayer. They don't even go to church, and the mothers don't go to church, and the fathers aren't in the homes, and many of them heard a radio program yesterday that the black community, the African American, 70% of the homes have no father. And the white right now is at about 38% of no fathers in the home, the general population. And I'm sure there's numbers that are similar in the Hispanic and Asiatic and so on. And so the bottom line is, turn your heart towards God. If you didn't have a mother like that, I'm sorry. But even I did, and I rebelled. I rebelled severely from age 12 to 33 and lived like a hellion. And was a ruthless Marine. If you crossed me, and you were going to pay one way or the other. And it was not a good way to live, and I lived in sin all those years, captive to it. And my mother prayed for me the whole entire time, and eventually I was set free. And the Lord proved himself to me through the reading of the Holy Bible of the King James. And hopefully you'll do the same if you have it. Have a good day. Get in the Word. Stay in the Word, and the truth will set you free.